Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. It's been a little while, but I'm back. Unfortunately, with some sad news, of course. So everybody, I'm sure by now, knows about the shooting that happened in Texas, in Uvalde, Texas, this past Tuesday. And so many people are outraged, and I completely understand why. And I don't have any kids. I have younger family members who I am very compassionate about. And I am a woman, so I can't say I understand. I can never say that I understand what they're going through right now because I don't have children. And I don't have children that I have lost to gun violence. Although it shouldn't take me having children for me to be outraged and angry and upset with how the situation was handled. Now, I've said this before on this channel. I'm a real protect the children type of person. And when children get mishandled, that triggers me. And I feel like all in this situation, there were some things that were done morbidly wrong that could have been done right, that could have saved possibly those children's lives. Just this past Tuesday, a gunman entered the building of Robb Elementary School and opened fire on an entire classroom of students, killing 19 students and 2 teachers. Now, at first, they hadn't came out with all of the details, and they were saying that there was a timeline. There was a whole entire 40 minutes to an hour missing in the timeline of information that didn't make sense. And they were piecing it together little bit by little bit. And a lot of the parents who were there, who were literally there, saying, let us inside. There was somebody in there shooting, firing rounds. The police wouldn't let them go inside, and the policemen wouldn't go inside. Now, like I said, people have been outraged because they were saying it is your job as police officers. Like, we didn't beg you to be police officers, but if you put on the uniform and you decide to be one, you are saying that you are okay with risking your life and putting your life on the front line for someone else. That's what you're supposed to do as a police officer. But what it seemed to me is that once that young man had got into the building, they didn't want to risk their lives and possibly get shot going after him. That's what it seemed to me. Because, as the news has updated us on, they were all standing outside. Of course, he, fired some shots, and they heard him firing shots. But none of the police officers actually went in the building to try and pursue him. They waited until the Border Patrol, if I'm not mistaken, came, who actually went in the building to shoot him. That was like 40 minutes to an hour later. By that time, he had already killed 19 children and 2 teachers. Like I said before, maybe they were afraid of getting shot. I don't know. Or they just had never experienced something like this. And even though they said, they said they had funding and they had done lockdowns before, but maybe because they were so caught off guard and they didn't think that something like this would happen in a small town or in this town, that they were caught off guard. But again, the response was just unacceptable. Like, we're not taking any excuses. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was inexcusable what they did. Like I said, if all of them would have went in there, the chances, I believe, of saving those kids would have been so much higher than them just standing outside. And to make things worse, they wouldn't even let the parents that were standing outside. They were saying, well, if you're not going to go in there, you're the ones with the guns. Like, you could go in there and shoot him. But if you're not going to go in there, at least let us go up in there so that we can try and get to them, But they wouldn't even let that happen. And I'm just, like I said, that just mind boggled me. And then they said that they claimed, allegedly, that they put the school on a lockdown after they figured out that he was, so he was out there. But by then it was too late because he was already in the school. So anyways. And there was one young lady, one little girl who, she was, I don't think her parents really wanted her to go on, on record, but she decided to, go on record. I guess they respected, her personal wishes, and she went on record, and they were asking her on the news, how did you know that something was wrong or that somebody was in there? And she said she knew something was wrong because he fired a shot through the wall of her classroom, and they had to turn the lights off, and I think that they locked the door, and that's basically how that went. I'm going to keep saying this. The police dropped the ball. They did more than drop the ball. They did so much worse. And to make things even worse, so now, like I said, 19 children are gone. 19, pairs of parents are going to be grieving their children, and two other families are grieving the loss of two teachers. And to make it even worse, just recently, just last night, I found out from the news that one of the husbands of the teachers literally grieved himself to death because he was in such grief of what happened to his wife. Like, he grieved himself to death. And they had 4 children. They left behind 4 children. That just, like I said, I was enraged. I was enraged. And so now the big question is, what do we do now? How do we keep it from happening? And a lot of people are angry still, even with that question being asked from people like, politicians, because they feel like the politicians don't care, that they're not going to do anything. But people are angry. They're tired of their children's lives being in jeopardy. They're tired of losing kids and teachers this way. And we need to do something if we want this to stop. Now, the problem that we're having here, especially in states that love their firearms, people say, should we ban guns? Should we not ban guns? Like other countries have done. Unfortunately, that's going to be a serious fight that is going to be ugly, because there are some people who are so hell-bent on saying, well, you know what, it's not the guns that are bad. Like, the guns are just a tool. Like, they're not weapons, they're just tools. People just use them. It's the people that are bad. And I guess, but could you say that same thing if it was your child who got shot by somebody who shouldn't have had a gun to begin with, because some of the flimsy gun laws that we have? And the people who are supposed to have the guns, the cops, didn't really seem to do much to stop it. It's real easy to say you don't want the guns banned. They're just tools. The people are bad, which I agree, there are bad people, when it's not your child getting shot. I'm going to stick by what I said. There needs to be something done. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year, like yesterday, about this. And like I said, it is going to get ugly, because like I said, there are some people who will die on the hill of, it's not the guns that are bad and that we shouldn't get our guns taken away. But there are some people at this point, they think that the guns need to just be taken. They just need to be done away with. No guns for the people, no guns for the cops. And I can't blame those people. Now, as for the whole school lockdown thing, that could be handled a whole lot better. Now, people have been putting ideas out there, and I think that that's great, but the ideas work better when they're applied, when they're taken and applied. Like, for example, so some people have been saying that the schools need to be locked. Like, the doors, I don't know why that door wasn't locked, but like I said, they probably didn't anticipate Tuesday morning this tragedy happening. But in a school, I don't care if it's an elementary school, a middle school, a high school, the doors need to be locked. All the doors need to be locked, and they need to have certain doors, like, during the day when kids are coming in, and in the afternoon when they're coming out, that are like checkpoints that have metal detectors in front of them, guarded by police officers that are paid by the school district, so that when these kids come here with their parents, and I'm not saying if somebody goes through the metal detector and they tackle them to the floor, like, just say, okay, I need you to, check your pockets. There's something on you that's, metal. We just need to see what it is. But there's better ways to handle this. Like I said, doors need to be locked. They need to implement metal detectors, gun detectors. They need to have certain checkpoints that students are allowed to come through. And I'm sorry, but you need to tell them, listen, you'll need to get to class on time, because if you don't, then you need to stay home. Or let them through, but make sure, like I said, they need to walk themselves to those metal detectors. They need to be guarded by police officers, so they can make sure that whoever's walking into these schools isn't some, person with malicious intentions. And then the doors need to be locked, so people can't just walk in wherever they want to. And then when school is over, do the same thing. And they need to keep some sort of parameter up a gate or something that they let kids go in and out of when they're getting dropped off or when they're getting picked up by their parents. So again, like I said, people can't just waltz right in. And if somebody wants to pick up their kid or come to the school, then again, they have to go through those checkpoints guarded by police officers at every point of the day during the school day, so they can make sure that these people who are coming up here, one, are who they say they are to these kids to come and get them, and two, not somebody who, again, has malicious intentions. And this is not rocket science. This is something that could have been done ages ago. This stuff, I feel like this is so preventable, but it's people not caring. It's just the lack of preparedness. We have to get our heads out of the clouds. These people have to get their heads out of the clouds. I feel like because we haven't had a school shooting in some time, in just a little bit of time, that people have gotten a little too lax. We're still not in the clear, and we will not be as long as we have guns available for the public. And I get it, people say, well, even if you do take the guns away, there's still people who, sell and trade guns, on the low, and that's true. But we need to understand, as long as there's guns, on the streets and available for people, there's always going to be that risk. It's always going to be present. So like I said, we need to figure out something to do because these children are our future. And what the school districts don't want is for people to pull their kids out of school and homeschool them. Or maybe it is what they want. I don't know. But that's what people need to do. They need to just homeschool their children, because the school district can't protect your kids. If you're going to send them to school, you're trusting them at least for that time, assuming that the campus is a safe place for your child to further their education and get a future. But if they can't even ensure the safety of the kids, then why? What even is the point? What even is the point? That's all I'm saying. But condolences. My condolences to all the family of the children and the women whose lives were lost. And we need to keep these people uplifted in prayer. And we need to keep speaking out and keep putting ideas out there and harassing these people until they do something about this. We need to keep making noise until something gets done. But anyways, you all tell me how you feel and what you think down in the comments below.